2,000 years ago, long before kingdoms were named and history was written, the world was ruled by strength, hunger, and survival. The land was wide and unforgiving. Endless plains stretched beneath an open sky, broken only by dry winds and distant mountains. At the heart of this land stood a massive stone fortress, dark and ancient, built to dominate everything around it. This fortress belonged to the Boer clans. The Boers were powerful, disciplined, and ruthless. They believed the land was theirs by right of force. They controlled the water sources, the grain stores, and the trade paths that crossed the plains. Their walls were high, their armor thick, and their confidence unshakable. From behind stone and iron, they ruled without mercy. Beyond those walls lived the dog tribes. The dogs were wanderers. They moved with the seasons, followed the stars, and survived through loyalty and cooperation. They were hunters, scouts, and warriors shaped by hardship. For generations, the dog tribes served the Boers as guards and fighters, protecting borders and caravans in exchange for food and safe passage. It was not friendship, it was survival. For a long time, that fragile balance held. Then came the winter. It was the coldest winter anyone could remember. Rivers froze solid, prey vanished, camps starved. According to ancient oaths, the Boers were bound to share grain during times of hardship. Trusting those words, the dog tribes sent their elders to the fortress, unarmed, seeking what was promised. The elders never returned. The Boers imprisoned them, calling the dogs weak, calling them a threat. By breaking the oath, the Boers broke something far older than stone. They broke honor. When the truth reached the dog tribes, there was no rage at first. There was silence, a heavy, painful silence. Then a decision. The dogs would never kneel again. A commander was chosen among them. He was not the largest or the loudest. He was calm, scarred, and steady. His eyes carried patience hardened into resolve. He spoke little, but when he did, every tribe listened. He did not promise revenge, he promised an end. For the first time in history, the dog tribes united. Weapons were forged from stolen iron and broken tools. Armor was stitched from leather and scavenged steel. Scouts mapped the fortress day and night. Drums echoed across the plains, slow and steady, like a heartbeat growing stronger with every step toward war. Inside the fortress, the Boer king laughed. He trusted his walls more than wisdom. He believed fear would scatter the dogs like dust. He ordered his armies to prepare, confident the coming battle would be short. At dawn, the ground trembled. Thousands of armored dogs charged across the plain. Banners snapped in the wind. War cries rose into the sky. Arrows filled the air. Catapults hurled burning stone toward the fortress walls. The Boers answered with fire, boiling oil, and iron rain. Smoke swallowed the sun. Steel met steel. The battle lasted days. The dogs attacked without rest. They climbed walls under arrow fire, shattered gates, and dragged down towers piece by piece. The Boers fought with brutal discipline, holding formation, protecting their king, refusing to surrender a single stone. On the seventh night, thunder rolled across the sky. Lightning split the darkness. A section of the fortress wall collapsed with a roar that shook the land. The dogs poured inside. The fighting moved into courtyards and halls, into narrow corridors where shields cracked and swords rang endlessly. Fire consumed banners that once symbolized absolute power. The fortress, once untouchable, began to fall. At the heart of the ruins, the noise faded. Through smoke and flame, the dog commander walked alone. Across the broken hall stood the Boer commander, the strongest warrior of the fortress. His armor was shattered, his tusks stained with blood, but his stance remained firm. This was no longer a war of armies. This was a moment that would decide the future. They charged. Steel collided with bone-shaking force. Every strike carried years of betrayal, pride, and suffering. The boar fought with raw power, swinging heavy blows meant to crush everything in his path. The dog moved with control and precision, watching, waiting, enduring. The floor was slick with blood and ash. Firelight flickered across broken armor. Their breathing was heavy, loud, real. No cheers, no drums, only fate. The boar roared and overextended. In that single moment, the dog struck. One final, unstoppable blow. The boar commander froze, then fell to his knees. His weapon slipped from his grasp. As his body collapsed onto the stone floor, the age of the boars ended. Not with words, not with mercy, with consequence. The dog commander stood over him, breathing steady. He did not roar, he did not celebrate, he turned away. By morning, the fortress burned. The surviving boars fled into the mountains. The dogs did not chase them. They destroyed the walls, opened the granaries, freed the prisoners, and left the stone behind. From that day on, no single race ruled the plains again. The Great War was remembered not as a victory, but as a warning. Power built on fear will always fall. Loyalty built on honor will always endure. And beneath the silent ruins, the echoes of that ancient battle still sleep, waiting to be heard again.
The fortress crumbles! Regripa! Hold the line! For the inner walls! They shall not pass! Hang on!